Louisville, we have a problem.
TLT Garage USA. TLT Garage USA. Direction. Tire burning. TLT Garage USA. TLT Garage USA. USA, USA.
All right, now normally it would be Houston, we have a problem, but the truck was built in Louisville, so I thought maybe Louisville was a little more appropriate. Before we get into what I found issues with the truck, it would be nice to not have to hot wire the truck every time I went to move it or start it or whatever. So, having said that, I purchased a new ignition switch. Comes with, I got this, I got the little ring, and then I got these, which are the door locks, so that all the keys match. And I have, oh, here we go. And I got the cylinder, the barrel, whatever you want to call it. Now, I also got this guy, because the one that's in there is an aftermarket one, and they used, I don't know, they ran wires directly from it to the starting solenoid. You know, it's just not factory, so I don't know all which wires are which. Now I'm assuming, look underneath there, I'm going to see some cut, I'm going to see some disconnected. You know, I'd be nice if this thing was still there, but I don't think it is. So because of this, if you can tell, they're all black. And I'm like going, well, how in the world am I going to figure this out? I mean, short of, you know, testing every single wire and you know, looking for an online wiring diagram. What I did do is, excuse me, buddy, can you move over? I got my little cat here. He's wanting attention. I did buy, let's get you down here, is I bought this wiring diagram for it. Now, I didn't know if it was going to really help me, but if you look right here, it's not too glary, it says ignition switch. And it's oriented in a way that kind of shows you which pin is which. So I was like, all right, that ought to work. You know, it's got a light brown and a black and a yellow and a green and a white or something there. If you guys can see that, looks like it's doing okay job zooming in. That's light switch, sorry. There we go, ignition switch. And so I got that, and I'm like going, okay, that should help me a lot, at least get me close. Now there's wires that are on, that have been taken off the starting solenoid that has their little clips that you just clip on them and they are pulled off. Now I'm assuming the wiring color should possibly correspond inside, but spoiler alert, I don't need to do any of that. Hopefully. I needed grill inserts. I needed, unfortunately, I needed a back window because the sliding window is missing one of the sliding pieces of glass, and you can't buy, well, you can't buy them online individually unless you go maybe to eBay or something like that. And I found one possibly, but he was up in Washington, probably a 3-hour drive. Now, if he would have said, I'll take like 20, 30 bucks for it, it probably would have been worth driving up there. I take my work car, it gets really good fuel economy. Anyhow, like I said, I needed grill inserts, I needed the back window, and I needed some fender emblems. I didn't have the emblems that said F100. Well, I found a lady over by the coast where I live, and she had all of it. And while I was there talking with her, I was talking about this guy, how all the wires are black. And now I don't know, all it says is Made in Taiwan on it. So it doesn't say, you know, power, ground, or whatever. So she got up in one of her baskets of parts and she said, do you need this? So she gave me, well, she didn't give me, I bought it from her. Good price, good price. A factory switch. Now you can see all the wires are still there. So hopefully they're the exact same. Now it fits perfectly into the back of that barrel, or the ignition, the main switch. Where's it, buddy? Here we go, watch out. Into this, it fits perfectly into that. Now that new one, man, I was gonna have to beat it to get it on there. This factory one, it goes on nice. It locks on, it doesn't want to fall off, but I don't have to, you know, gorilla it on, you know, or whatever. But anyhow, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go out in the truck. We're gonna try to get up underneath the dash. I've already got the aftermarket one hanging, so that shouldn't be a big deal. I'm trying to get a good angle here. I'm just holding it with my arm right now, as you can tell. Yeah, so hopefully we can look underneath there and we'll see corresponding wires, and most likely they should, some will be used. I'm sure they use some of the existing wires, but some of them will just be cut and up in there. Hopefully there's enough length that I don't have to try to lengthen them. And also, I'll try to explain how to get, I keep bringing it forward, how to get this in to this. I kind of understand it. It's not super complicated. The gist is you put a, I don't know if you'll be able to see, you're gonna focus, trying to focus on my face. Here we go. You should be able to see the little pinhole in there. You put the pin, you put like a paper clip in there, and you go past, like if you were turning this way to accessory, you go past accessory, and that gets it ready, that gets everything in the back end of this thing lined up to go down into that barrel. And there's those little grooves right there. Sorry, I have bifocals, and so I have to look up. I know it looks like a dork, but anyhow, so that's got to go in there. So when you turn it, it turns what needs to be turned, and these little arms here, or little fingers here, they lock into there, so you just can't pull the barrel out, right? But anyhow, yeah. So let's go out to the truck, and we will get started on getting our ignition switch in, and then after I get that and I get that working, and I get the truck back in the shop, we'll go over what I believe it needs to be done to it first. All right, let's get outside. Hey everybody, so it's basically the next day. I was talking about, working on getting that ignition switch going. I messed with it a little bit outside. I couldn't get it to go right away, so I got the ignition where it would come on. I guess I'm not really much to see under here. Well, like the accessories would work. The heater blower would work kind of. I mean, there's something stuffed in there, or it's really bad. Or I got the windshield wipers to go. Now, the wiring harness. Let's get inside here. It's kind of a mess, but so yeah, it's everything's everywhere. The wiring harness that I have just some little temporary connectors. I didn't want to wire it all up and then it not be right and have to cut it again. So one thing I'm dealing with is, I believe this is the neutral safety switch up in here that is just cut. So I have it jumpered, so it's just closing the circuit, so it believes it's a neutral. Now, doing that, it will start if it's in gear, so obviously that's not a good thing. I'll have to figure that out. And then I just matched wires to wire, everything I could find. There is this one here. It's like a fusible link, and I don't know if, I'm not really sure what its purpose is. The wiring harness diagram doesn't show that, and I have another one here. All I did is I put them in the same connector as they are down in here in this switch. And then I struggled to get it. To start, to get the key to work. I could tell that the ignition would come on. Like I said, I could turn the key, the windshield wipers would work. There's a little light back inside the dash that's working, and the heater motor will come on. There's not a lot of accessories in here, so that's all I got is those two things really. Maybe the cigarette lighter. I don't know. Some of these old ones, you didn't have to have the key on for them to work. Anyhow, so but it wouldn't crank over if I turned the key. So I basically hot wired it. Well, I used what Derek calls the lone wolf, the starter switch, and it cranked over. But it didn't want to start. So okay, so something's going on. So I jumpered it again from the battery directly to the coil. It still took it a while to start, but it finally started. So I thought, okay, so I'm not getting the ignition hot at the key. So I got it to run enough that I could back it up. It actually was kind of like normal. Put it in reverse, just backed up, put it in drive, pulled forward, put it back in reverse, backed it into the shop. So then when I pulled the jumper wire off from the coil directly to the battery, it kept running. So I'm like going, okay, so I do have hot ignition. I just don't have the key to start. It's not going to the coil, to the starter solenoid. Sorry, starter solenoid. So the previous ignition switch, the generic one, which is around here somewhere, they ran all their own wires. Well, not all of them. They used some of the existing, but some of them they ran. One of them was this yellow wire that I pulled out because I'm like, I'm not going to need this. And so like I said, I'm learning as I go. I'm not familiar. I mean, I have the basics, you got the starter solenoid, the battery, the ignition switch, all the stuff. There's a starter relay. There's, the ignition box. Okay, I got a cat up here. But I don't know. So I'm looking at my diagram, and it shows a blue and red wire that eventually, it's upside down, that eventually makes it to the starter solenoid. That's to the same post that you hook your trigger to. So I'm thinking, well, maybe it's bad from the ignition switch to that starter solenoid, and that's the same spot where that yellow wire is hooked up. So I shoved the yellow wire back in and hooked it up, and watch this. Now it's not happy because it ran for a few minutes, but I'm gonna scare the pee out of my cat because he's on the hood. He's trying to look outside. So when I turn the key to the on position, you can hear, there's my heater motor, which is, I guess I need to double check that doesn't do it when the key is off. So the key is off, nothing happens. Turn the key on, and you can see I have a little light on over there. And now, try not to drop the camera. Now, when I crank it, I turn it to crank. Cranks up and starts. So, and it shuts off. Look at that. Hey, I don't know if I've checked to see if the accessory works. So accessory. Okay, so accessory is either not working or the heater doesn't work on accessory. I think it should. So that's something I still have to look into. So either that wire is bad from here to there, or there's another piece of the puzzle that I'm not getting or I'm not understanding. Like I said, I'm learning as I go, and I will try to show you guys as much as I can, and so you maybe can learn something. Well, I got some pretty good thunder outside. So the next, I'll probably call the ignition switch good enough for right now. I'm not ready to do all the final connections yet, or redo them, I said, because there's a big issue with the motor, and I'll just tell you now, I believe I have a bad head gasket. I believe I have a bad head gasket. When I first got it to start, it would start and run, but I don't think that the thermostat was opening. And so I put a new thermostat in it, started up, it ran as good as it did that first day in the first video, and then thermostat opened. It kind of blurped out I had the radiator cap off because I wanted to see it moving. It kind of blurped out a little bit, and I'm like, okay, well that's, it's got air in it, it's got bubbles in it. It blurped out another time. It was kind of foaming inside. I'm like, well, maybe it's getting churned up. It's causing a little foam. And then it sat and it idled for, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 minutes. And while I was doing that, my neighbor drove by with her brand new Expedition she wanted to show me. So I went over there, I talked to her for a few minutes. I said, hey, let me shut this truck off. And I pulled the ignition cable to shut it off, and it just Old Faithful'd out the radiator. It shot 6 to 7 feet in the air. Just a geyser of water coming out of that radiator. So I'm pretty sure I got a bed head gasket. I have an all new set here. So the next part of this video, we're going to be tearing it down. And I'm not doing that today, so the next time, it's going to be all this video, but I'm going to start tearing it down. I just wanted to get this, my main goal, the beginning of the video, was to get this key working. So the next step will be, now that I got it functioning, it's not permanent, but I got it functioning, I'll do more research on the, sorry, I hate these glasses, on the fusible links and see exactly what they need to be going to. I don't really, and this ignition wiring harness didn't necessarily come off of a 73. It may be something more modern. What I need to do is I need to disconnect those fusible links and then see if it still starts. I'm sure there needs to be a fuse in there somewhere, but I'll disconnect those, see if it still starts, and then the next step, like I said, I'm gonna start tearing the motor down. But that'll be next time when I have to work 4 days, and then I'll be back. But like I said, it's all going to be part of this video. And anyhow, I don't think there's any more to say. So when we come back, I will be starting to tear down the engine. All right. Maybe I'll do a compression test just to make sure. Pull some, but it has a bad head gasket. I have some other heads too I might end up using, but those have broken studs in them. These heads have been damaged, or I mean, you'll see when I get there. So anyhow, like I said, next time we'll be back. When I come right back, it will be tearing the engine down. All right, so we just got done messing with the ignition switch. Just got done meeting like 4 days ago. It's obviously not perfect or totally connected, or it's a little bit. It's just all temporary right now. I've been trying to research a little bit on the fusible links or the ballast resistors. I've had ones that had the ballast resistors, and my understanding is when you turn the ignition on, you get 12 volts. Once the ignition starts, once the truck starts, excuse me, that ballast resistor or that fusible link drops the voltage down to like 8 or 9 volts. I'll have to do some more research, talk to my dad about it. He's explained it to me, I don't know, 2-3 times, probably more like a dozen times. But I'm really bad that if I don't use it right away or I don't encounter it like 2 or 3 times, I get like part of it. It's just, I'm kind of OCD, so I've got everything going all over the place. Anyhow, so I want to start moving forward on getting this engine taken apart. I'm not super worried about super focused on getting that ignition switch perfect. It is, you know, turn the key on, it turns on the ignition system, turn the key to start, the truck starts, it gets back, stays running. So that's the first step. My main goal right now is I need to make sure that this engine is not too hurt, too damaged. About 20 some years ago, I bought a 71 and I drove it home. It ran really good initially. I shut it off to put some fuel in it. It didn't want to start. It took it a while, finally started. I drove it home like 70 miles an hour, like, I don't know, like 100 miles. My wife and I stopped, got some dinner, tried to start again. Still didn't really want to start, Finally started. Drove the rest of the way home, about another 40 miles, 30 miles. Drove into town, stood at a stoplight, and the gas pedal was bouncing. And I'm like, what in the world? So I swung over by my dad's, had him take it for a drive. He brought it back. He power braked it a little bit right there in his back driveway by his shop. And he said, well, you got at least one dead hole. And I'm like, what? And so tore that engine apart. Long story short, somebody had rebuilt the engine, but they forgot to put, I'm assuming they forgot to put the keepers for the wrist pins on the pistons. And so the wrist pins had moved into the cylinder wall and had gouged into at least 2 cylinders through the cylinder wall into the water jacket. Now, mind you, I just drove this truck over 100 miles, doing 70 miles an hour on the highway. Started tearing apart. The oil pan was full of water. Every single rod bearing was spun, a little bit loose. I don't know how that engine didn't just, it should have just grenaded on I-5. Anyhow, so that motor was bad. So I've taken one apart before, but that was like 20 some years ago, but I've never done it before then, so I can do it now. So far, all I've gotten done is I took off the distributor cap and all the plug wires, and I labeled each plug wire with just some blue painter's tape, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just to kind of help me put it all back together. Now I'm going to pull the plugs, and I'm going to look at them and see what they look like. See if I'm assuming I'll find some wet. I don't know, for some reason I'm thinking it's on the driver's side. I really don't know why. Something makes me believe it's over there. I don't know why. Something happened in the whole this process that made me believe that. Anyhow, I can't remember when I tore them apart if I saw something that made me believe that. Sorry, the sun is going to come in right now. I'm going to have to tint these windows or something on the shop. But anyhow, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all these plugs. Alrighty, I got those other spark plugs out, and they looked fine. I mean, they looked cleaner than this side. I don't know if that means because that side was firing better or because there is a bunch of water in the cylinders, and so it was washing them off. Sorry, that was my cat climbing up the hood. I've got the compression tester in cylinder number 1, and we're going to try to crank it over, see if I can do it. Now, I'm not sure. I might get It might get water blowing. I think I'm gonna put this hose back. I've got one of the heater hoses off. I started taking some of the heater hoses off, but I think I'm gonna shove this guy back on here so it doesn't shoot coolant in my face. Now the main hose off of the radiator is off too, so I think I might throw that, just kind of press that on real quick too. One, just to prevent making a mess, and two, keep from shooting it in my face. Now I just have the remote start switch hooked up to the battery here in the start solenoid. I don't have any power going. I don't have any power going to the ignition, so it should just crank over. I'm probably gonna flood it out a bit, but the cylinders are all open, so that's okay. It'll all evaporate out, right? Okay. I think I'm good. See if you guys can see the gauge there. You're not gonna be able to see it very well, but let's see if I can bring it a little closer here. And this is just a Harbor Freight gauge. It's nothing high end, nothing super expensive. It'll give me a ballpark. You know, if I was doing a racing engine or whatever, I'd probably want a little bit higher quality equipment, but this is fine for what we're doing. Let's see if it's gonna go. It should go. Got that on there, and then we're just gonna crank it over, you know, 3 or 4 times. I think you want, I don't know if this is important, but you want the carburetor open so it's just pulling air. That'll give you the most accurate, which, like I said, we're looking for you know, big differences, you know. I mean, technically, you know, I'm sure this motor should have a certain compression, you know, 120, 130, 140, I don't know exactly what it should have per cylinder. Maybe 80 is normal for the older motor like this. I doubt it's that low, but anyhow, we're trying to see if one is specifically lower than the other ones, or maybe 2 are low, they're blowing between each other. Anyhow, sorry, babbling, here we go. All right, so that is about, I don't know, 119. I think that's pretty good. 118 PSI. All right. Okay, let's try this other one. About 116, 117. Okay, here we go, number 3. Boom, right to 120. That was a little weaker. It's about 116 maybe 115. That number 3 hole was boom, right to 120. Hit it instantly, but maybe that's because it's got a little oily or something in there. All right, now we're gonna switch over to the other side and see what we got over there. Put this on here. Be able to see it if I can reach my starter. All right, here we go. Get him out of the way. 119. 119, 118. Okay, here we go. Oh, there we go. We got a 50. And it's fading out. Now, hopefully that means bad head gasket. I mean, that's not a great thing, but a bad head gasket is better than broken piston, you know, piston rings. I'm not really looking to pull the motor out and re-ring it. It's not expensive, because I would just do a re-ring, and as long as the cylinder is not like the other one where it had the wrist pin into the cylinder wall, which if that happened, that would be insane. That I got 2 trucks that had the exact same problem, 20 some years apart. That would be crazy. think that's in. I'll probably do that other one again just to triple check that I got it in all the way. Yeah, I think that's in. So I'm guessing that this one's going to be week 2. This should be number 7. And then number 8 will be okay. 18. 118. So we just got a dead hole, essentially a dead hole in that number 5. Let's go and we'll do number 8 just because it makes sense to do them all. We found a dead hole, so that's a good thing, I guess. I mean, I just didn't want to pull the head off and everything's fine, so. I was right. Why was on this side? I can't really remember what led me to believe it'd be over here, but oh, there it is. Where'd the gauge go? Okay, so last but not least, number 8. Going. All right, here we go. Yep, 118. So all of them are really good. I mean, I think all of them are pretty dang good except for that one hole. Obviously that's not great, but like I said, hopefully it's just, it could be, I mean, the compression could be a bad valve or something also, which I think I already mentioned, I have another set of heads. So I don't really care about if it's a bad valve, but the fact that I was building up pressure within my exhaust, my cooling system tells me it's a blown head gasket, cracked head, or I mean, theoretically you could have a bad block, but hopefully it's not that. So, all right, yeah, I think I'm just going to start tearing it apart. I think it's advisable to get it to top dead center, number 1 cylinder. So then when I go to put, I mean, I'll probably be cranking it over when I have it apart so I can look at all the cylinders. So I don't know if it's a huge deal if I put it at top dead center right now, other than maybe verifying that the distributor is pointing where it should be pointing. Other than that, I don't think there's much point. Like I said, I'll be turning it over anyways. All right, let's get to it. All right. Per suggestion by my dad, who is way more of an expert than I am, he recommended throwing some oil in this cylinder. And he said that if the compression comes up, then that tells you it's bad rings. If it doesn't, then that leads more towards valves, which I don't know about a head gasket. I would assume, because I'm still worried that's got a bad head gasket, but I guess it could still have a bad head gasket and have a weak hole for valves or something, because he was pretty sure when it was running it had a really bad miss. The sun's right in my face. I don't have the ear for that, not on these. With 8 cylinders, I'm not as good. A 4-cylinder, I can, it's a little more obvious, but all right. So I've got way too much oil in there. So let's see what it does. Hopefully the oil doesn't mess up the compression heads. I'm sure it won't. If it does, they're cheap. All right. See if I got my mic on. You hear me? I think it's actually recording. Yeah, here we go. So make sure the cat's not in the fan. Whoop, I didn't have it on there. Didn't have it locked on. There we go. See that? Kinda. I mean, you guys can't read it, but you could tell from there that 120 is right up here, and if it only got up this high last time, so we will tell if it's better. Sorry, cord right in my face. Make sure there's no cat in the way. Yeah, see that went up over 120. So that means it could be a broken ring, which means motor out. Let me triple check that it was that cylinder. I was thinking it was 7, but maybe it was 6, and I just remember wrong. Which is very possible because my memory is about like 2 seconds of a nap. And of course it's stuck in there again. So let me go get something to get it out of there. Hopefully this was the good hole. You guys will remember. When I'm editing this, I'll remember, obviously. Maybe I'll just edit this out. Probably do edit this out. Okay, so let's see if I can put way too much oil on this hole too. Where's my little baby funnel? It's behind me. I just got some really old motor oil, little tiny funnel. I just need something to try to minimize the oil going all over the exhaust manifold, which the exhaust manifold coming off, it ain't the end of the world, but I'll make sure I get it in the hole. And once again, way too much. And it doesn't want to come out. There it came out. And what I do with there it is, that's there. What do I do with everything else? Oh, here, try right in front of my face. Get the oil out of the way. Put the end of the compression tester back together. Make them a little tighter. Man, I got that one in good. And like I said, this one I wasn't 100% sure I actually got it seated good. If it was cylinder number, 5. So maybe I'm just a knucklehead and everything's all good. So I got oil in this one. It's on. Got to release the pressure. Try it again. Okay, so number 5 was the bad hole, not number 6. No. Number 6 was a bad hole, not number 7. All right, so put oil in that one. It really didn't get any better. So that's telling us it's probably a valve, I would think, or the bad head gasket blown in that cylinder. So, yeah. Now we'll start taking it apart. Alrighty. All right, so it's might be kind of hard to see because I got the glare and stuff in here, but I got this side off, and it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it's a little, maybe just a little bit, but not really that bad. This side here is the bad side. So let's see there. I keep losing the screwdriver and it keeps dropping on there. Let's see if we can pop this guy off and see if we can see anything. I mean, odds are I just have like a burnt valve, but it's possible to have something up top broken that's maybe sticking that thing up. Come on. Can't get a good spot to pry. Get up in here a little bit. There we go. Good spot right there. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let me get this set down over here. Alrighty. See how much trash? I don't know how much you can even see what I'm doing. You're probably, well, you can see what I'm doing. So, let's get in here. Okay, just a second here. Let me. It's kind of hard to see. So yeah. So it's got this common. How do you want to call this? It's just a rail that everything is hooked on, and I'll just take these guys off. this whole assembly will come off. I have to take, the way this is built, you have to take all the push rods out before you can take the intake manifold off, because the push rods, it's like, see, here's where the intake manifold goes. I'm not pointing at it. There we go. This is where the intake manifold stops. And so it's actually underneath the valve covers, and the push rods go through the intake manifold. So I don't know if that anybody's messed with the, maybe show you on the other side here. All right. All right, so if we get in here, like you can see, this is going to be the whole assembly. It's like the rocker arm assembly. I just take off these individual bolts and this whole assembly comes off. I don't believe that any of this is adjustable. I don't see how I would do it. See, it's all just, it just is what it is. Maybe it's adjustable based on your rocker arms. But I can find out more about that. But I don't see any way to adjust. See, there's no nut on top to adjust. So it's pretty simple. Just pull these off. This whole assembly comes off. You pull your push rods out. And your push rods, they go through the intake manifold. See, this is all intake manifold all the way to here. And if I'm showing you this very well, here, let's zoom in real quick. So you can see that seam right there. You can see that the valve cover gasket, or the valve cover, it comes from here all the way up onto here, and this is the intake. So it splits right here, so your your push rods have to come out before you can take your intake manifold off. So anyhow, so the next step is to pull these guys off. I don't really see this is the cylinder that's bad. I mean, it's not got any compression. I mean, the valves don't have anything on. I mean, I don't see any broken springs. I don't see any broken rocker arm. So my guess would be that I burnt a valve. Well, I didn't burn a valve. They burned a valve. It has a burnt valve. So I have another set of heads. So all I got to do is get the head off. Now, as far as the head gasket blowing water out, I don't see a burnt valve doing that. So there must be a bad head gasket in there somewhere. Maybe that head itself is cracked, or, I mean, we'll see. We get down in there. Maybe the cylinder's bad. I don't know. So anyhow, I'm going to keep at it. And then I will come back to you when, probably when I'm about ready to pull that intake manifold off. I mean, it's just nuts and bolts, nothing super exciting to watch. If you guys want to watch an engine teardown step by step, I can do that. I can buy another motor, put it on engine stand, and just video every step. But I'm sure there's videos out there from people that have way more experience than me and are a lot more experts than me. But anyhow, yeah, let's get this thing torn down some further, and I'll come back. Alrighty, we are making progress. I got a bunch of bolts. I have got, let's see here. Get this, I got the intake manifold loose. Broke loose on this side at least. I got to take off this little line here. Let me show you. So I got to take off that little line there. It's not wanting to focus on that. There you go, that little line there. And then pop it loose from the other side. I did, however, I go by all my mess here, find something not great. If you can see the teeth on that distributor, they're all busted off. So I'm gonna have to look down in and see if the teeth on the cam are chewed up, and then I'm gonna have to decide if the chunks from that gear made it down into the pan, which I'm sure they made it in the pan. But is it worth pulling the pan off of it. I mean, it's not great to have them down in there, but I don't think it's going to pick them up. Hopefully when I drain the oil, they'll come out. I don't know if they're magnetic. I'm assuming they are. Like I said, I'm not sure. You know, I got to take this guy off of here. He weighs a ton. I've done it before. They're very, very heavy. I'll have to crawl in there to get it off because I don't think I can heave-ho it from out here. I have to kind of get closer to it. So let me get this other side broke loose, and then I got to get that little line off, and then we'll get the other side broke loose, and then we'll see if we can get it off of there. I might turn this light off because all it's doing is adding glare that the sun is already adding. All right. I got to find a screwdriver. Excuse the thousands of tools I have sitting there. Battery pack's still on. It's still got sound. That's good. It's recording. I just hit the camera. Okay, I've just got this little crossover pipe from the intake manifold to the water pump. Now, I'm a big Ford fan. I like Fords. It's one thing I don't really understand why they did this thing. They have this little tiny pipe it's like 1.5 inches, 2 inches long tops, and I mean, for me, it's a challenge to mess with it. I mean, I've done it and I can do it, but it's like, come on, guys. I'm trying to get the other. I don't really have to get the other side loose, but it would be nice. Okay, so what's going to have to happen is I got that line loose, and then I can pop the other side off. I think I have everything else loose. I'm going to have to kind of pick this up and then kind of work it off of that little tube. Another thing I found is a couple of the, try to find the one here. I think this is it right here. Well, this isn't it, but a couple of these bolts, they're the intake bolts. If it'll focus on the head. This one here is not too bad, but I had some other ones that were the ones that were like back in this corner. There's one still in there because it doesn't want to come out, but then the other side it doesn't want to come out because of the little vacuum port there. Anyhow, the one was corroded and the 9/16s wouldn't fit it. So what I did is I went and found a 13 millimeter and I just kind of thumped it on there and it worked out great. You can buy, if you have the head, you can buy these little, they look like sockets, but they're like twisted angle, and you beat them on and then they grab when you go to take them off. But I have a set, but they didn't go down small enough. This other one here, it wasn't bad. It was bad enough that the 9/16 wouldn't work, but it was good enough that the 13 wouldn't work. So I put a 14 on, and luckily the 14 worked. Yeah, so let's get that other side popped off. What did I do with my big pry bar? There it is. Shout out to my dad here. This is a titanium pry bar. He worked in a titanium plant for close to 40 years. Machinist and millwright bulk of it. All right, that is loose. Now I have to fight that little tube, which is going to be a bugger. Sometimes people just cut it, but I want to try to keep from cutting it, but I might end up having to cut it just because it's not worth fighting it to get it off. If I can get it kind of broke loose, I got a little step still here so I can get in here. I think it's loose enough. I think it'll come off. I just have to get the intake manifold up and off. Yeah, that's plenty loose. It'll come off. Let's see here. Yeah, so I guess there I got the bolt out. I guess it's time to go crawling in here. This will be a bit of a challenge. So if I can do this so you can see somewhat of what I'm doing. Like I said, it's just so heavy. This thing's cast iron and it probably weighs dang near as much as me. I mean, it isn't a lot, but still, you're trying to pick up your body weight, you know, when you're reaching out. This whole assembly comes off. Okay. Ah, there we go. We got it loose from the little tube. Ah. So it's moving. Whoo. And I haven't even hardly moved it, and I'm already working out. It's a workout. Let's see if I can kind of kick it over here, maybe, kind of, sort of. I just need to get it closer to the front of the truck. Then I can get out, and then I can reach from outside the truck. Holy shnikes. My goodness, this thing is insanely heavy. I don't wreck anything. Ah. Ah. Whoo. Ah. Take a break. All right, let's see if we can walk it forward. Maybe. Yeah, I got my mag still going. Oh my gosh. I don't know what it weighs, but it's very heavy. Let's see if I can get up out of here now. Ah. What? Oh, power cord for the light. I'm like, what am I got hooked on here? It's got coolant in it, so it's going to get coolant all over me, which, whatever. See if I think it'll reach the radiator now. Try not to bend this fuel line I got over here. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I can't do that way. I might have to shut the camera off, or I just won't show this part. I might just be off when I come back. We'll see how bad I do. Let me see if I can get something to kind of help me slide it off without destroying stuff. Maybe a hunk of wood or something I can set it on to kind of drag it up on top of the radiator. Hope the radiator can take it. If I don't have to take the whole weight. All right, there it is. And I was able to get it off, and I didn't stop filming on purpose. I actually ran out of memory card space literally right at that moment. So I was able to kind of, ouch! I was able to kind of swing it around, get it closer to my body, and then pack it out. It weighs a lot. Let's go see what it looks like underneath it. So it is a little messy under here, obviously, too. Yeah, a lot of grit, grime, a little bit of crap that was on top of it. Okay, so next challenge is to get this head off. Now, the head bolt shouldn't be a big deal. The big deal is going to be that exhaust. I am not excited about trying to take any of those exhaust bolts off. I sprayed them with some loose rust inhibitor, crusty, whatever you want to call it, WD-40 stuff, like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. So we'll hope. I'm going to get working on those. I'm not sure what time it is, but it's not too far in the end of the day, but I'm starting to run out of daylight. I try not to work out here too late. I'm not doing this professionally yet, so I try to, not be out here all night. So let me see what I can see over here, and I'll obviously have to clean up in the valley there. Yeah, to clean up in the valley. I'll check out those lifters, make sure the lifters don't look funky, or I'm not sure how to get them out, I think with a magnet. Yeah, so we'll get that head off, and then we'll see what we can see. All right, we got, I believe, all the bolts out. I lost one exhaust bolt, really, not too bad. I had one broke, and I can shut this guy off. This might be too bright for that camera. One broke. I think one stripped out, the head stripped, so I'll try to get some new ones. The bottom ones were pretty easy. The front one, I'm sure it was barely finger tight. The rest were just easy to come out. The top ones, they were a bugger. Got all the head bolts out, I believe. I'm just trying to get it to break loose. Thing loose. There, it's coming. There, we got her. I got my handy dandy pry bar here. Now this is going to be just about as bad as that intake manifold. There we go. Yeah. Pry bar. That really shouldn't go anywhere. The exhaust manifold is still there. Should kind of hold it up. And there's one bolt on the front of this that bolts it, that the power steering pump bolts to. So you gotta remember to get that. There we go. They fill the cylinders with coolant. Sorry all the grunting and groaning, but it's heavy. Hey, this stuff's heavy. The wire's all out of the way. Ugh. Whew. Still recording? Still recording, all right. Mic is still working. I can keep checking the mic, it's just about ready to die. See if I can get this thing off of here. We can look underneath it and then oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, that's not good. The valves, to me, look okay. They look okay, so I'm not sure. I'll have to talk to my dad some more, see what he thinks. I mean, it's possible it was just a blown head gasket, and that's why I had low compression, so the head gasket's pretty much annihilated, taking the head off, so anyhow, yeah, we'll call that good for this, not for the video, but for today. Tomorrow we'll be back at it. Looking at some more. I gotta order some parts. I gotta order some bolts. I'm gonna see if I can get the wiring, some of the wiring harness. Yeah, it's just a little piece what plugs in and goes to the temperature gauge, the oil pressure gauge, and then up to the coil. Yeah, coil. So, all right. When we get back out at it, I will be probably cleaning the other one up and get ready to put that one on. But this one doesn't. This one looks okay. So I'm guessing either it's got a crack in the head somewhere, or the head gasket was just blown in that cylinder. So it was pushing into the exhaust. So all right, we're back at it today. Let me shut this light off real quick here because it's not necessary for right this second. So I have, you can't see me at all. Let's turn around here. There we go. Not that it matters if you see me, but okay. I got the block cleaned off. I got the head cleaned up, and I got the head gasket sitting on the block. I'll show you that real quick here. I didn't really show you cleaning because it's just cleaning. Who cares? I mean, you can clean. I just used a wire wheel on a drill right here. So it worked pretty good. Definitely a lot different than cleaning that block of a little Volkswagen. I mean, I guess it's been on there for 50 years, so it was on there pretty good. So anyways, I got it off. So yeah, so we'll get the camera set up on a tripod. I'll show you in here real quick before I do that, and then now I'll show you the head, but it looks just like the head I took. It's a different head because it's just a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer head. I figured why not, we'll put it on. And it's going to be very, very heavy. Sitting on. Luckily, there's little dowel pin rings. I'll show you those here. So, if you can see down in here, see that little dowel that raises up, and there's one on the back that has it also. So you just got to get that head in here. But this is the gasket. See, it's got the metal ring here and a metal ring in the middle. Anyhow, let me get the tripod set up and figure out how I am going to throw this, set this head on here gently, and then start bolting it down. All right. All right, here we go. Put this big bad boy up here. So, oh, this one looks like it still has the dowel pin in it. Oh, got it out. Got it out. Sorry you can't see me. There we go. Good. I was like, oh man, is that going to be a pain to get out of there? But it's not too bad. Not too bad. Let me. Okay, got that dowel pin out. Luckily just pulled it out. The other one's clear. Let's see. How am I going to do this? Whoop. Drill down. Drill down. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to step in here. Once again, they're heavy. They're pretty dang heavy, but it's you're reaching, and when it weighs about half as much as you do, I'm sure Derek or Jared don't have the problem. Those guys are a little bit bigger boys. I'm sure most people out there are also. I'm sure a lot of guys out there doing this stuff. Those are just a couple of guys I watch. Questionable garage and vice grip. Obviously vice grip's pretty obvious. So let's see if I can hold this here and get a foot on the floor maybe and a foot up here. There, that's not too bad. Sit on the power steering pump. I got it oriented correctly. Exhaust here. Intake up. All right, let's see if I can get it in here without absolutely blowing things out. That wouldn't go too bad. I gotta find there we go. Nice. All right, let's put, I'm just gonna put one bolt in kind of loosely just to help make sure it doesn't come off of here. Maybe get a little one that's already a little cleaner than that so I don't have to. I don't believe any of these go into the water jacket. Some head bolts, they go into water jackets and you have to put some silicone on it, some RTV. I'll research that real quick. So yeah, that guy's on. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do a little research. I'm going to see what these all need to be torqued to, and I'll get them all on and clean them a little bit and put them on, and I'll come back when I'm doing some of the torquing, just so I can explain the torquing sequence and what the internet says the torque spec are supposed to be. Everything I do, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not an expert. I am not a professional. I am an amateur, and but I just want to maybe help somebody out there, or maybe it's just fun to watch somebody pull a motor apart and put a head gasket on an old 390. Anyhow, having said that, let's get, let me figure out the torque specs and get all the bolts cleaned and get them dropped in here, and then we'll start torquing it down. All right. All right, so I've got all the bolts in, and from what I read, some people were saying, nah, you don't need any sealant. Some people are saying, well, I think Google said you did need some on the outer ones, and some people said you don't need any. Some people are saying because of the way it's when it's torqued down, sitting down, it seals everything up okay. But what I ended up doing is I put some sealant on this guy and this guy. You can see, I don't know if you can see from that, you can see right here, I don't know if you guys can see or not, but there's a hole in the head. Let me bring it in a little bit closer to show you. Light on. So right here, might even, no, there we go. Right here, you can see the head bolt, and then back in there, around there, you can kind of see the same oval. Sorry, I'm terrible at this. Oval hole. So I don't know if that's water jacket or if that's oil passages or if it's just in the head. There is, if you look at the intake manifold, there is a little pass through. So I don't know if it's just air or if it's oil. Sorry, I'm not, like I said, I'm not massive expert at this. Anyhow, according to the internet, you torque it, start, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you start in the middle, you go back and forth till you get to the outer edges. It says 80 to 90 foot-pounds. So I've got a little electric torque wrench here, if I can get it to turn on. And I'm gonna go towards the higher end. I'm gonna go to 90. And set, save. All right, it's saved. So now the Volkswagen ones, you have to do like, you actually torque it more than this. Well, not really. You torque it to 44 and then you go. So I don't really like this one. It kind of weird. That beeping is not, it's torqued. That beep is you're getting close. When it's torqued, it does like a buzz or vibration, and luckily I figured that out when I was torquing a head down. There you go. If you heard that buzz. Okay, I'll do one more, and then I'll just get them all torqued, and we'll be back. All right. Alrighty, we got that head all torqued down. I guess now I'll work on getting the exhaust manifold bolted up. I'm going to take the water pump off pops probably because I just don't think trying to lay that big monster in there and put it in this water pump tube, crossover tube, all at the same time is going to work real well. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right. I'm going to get after the exhaust manifold and I'll look up those torques. I'm assuming they need to be torqued to a small amount, but I think mostly those are probably just nice and tight. So, all right. Let's get after it. All right. We've got, last time we were here, we had got this guy all torqued down. I got the exhaust manifold on with the new gasket. It's been a day or two now. It took a while. First off, this flange or loop on the original one broke off. So this is a different exhaust manifold. And the other one, I could get all 6 in, but that one right here, top and bottom, I could not get it to go on. I got this all cleaned up. I'll show you the manifold over here. So you can see right here it's broken off. You can also see that, let's look at the size of the hole in that, and look at the size of the hole in that one. So these have to be really lined up. So luckily I was able to find a set of exhaust manifolds for like 50 bucks. It was a little bit of a drive, an hour drive down, not too bad. But so I took the water pump loose, mostly because of this little hose right here has to go into the intake manifold, and the intake manifold weighs 10,000 pounds. So I'm not going to be able to gently insert it into this and then lay it down into that. So I pulled this back so I could put the intake manifold in, and then I can hook that line up. And sorry, that bright, it's kind of bright. Then I hook that line up as I put the water pump back on. So yeah, so I don't know how much I'll film. I'll get back to when I have that, excuse me, when I have the intake manifold setting on there. I've got that all cleaned up. It's not, I'm not doing a Craigslist rebuild. I'm not painting anything. I'm just trying to clean it up a little bit. I'm not getting carried away. I'm trying to get the bulk of the grit and grime off. This is just to make it run and drive good. I'm going to rebuild the carburetor. I'm going to try. Hopefully it won't make it worse. It actually seemed to work okay, but I think it probably had a big vacuum leak on it. Didn't want to idle. I blocked off the EGR valve, so it won't have that. So hopefully that will be blocked off. I just made a gasket out of a different exhaust manifold gasket that I had that I didn't need. So yeah, let me get that intake manifold on there. See if I can keep from having a hernia doing it, and then I will get back to you once I've got it bolted down and we're putting push rods in. All right. All right. Back. So my camera messed up again. Well, it wasn't the camera, I did it. Pushed the wrong button, got the camera in slow-mo, so there's no audio, so I'm just gonna voice over real quick here. So you can see I got the intake manifold on. I didn't record it. I don't think I did. It was a mother bear getting that guy back on there. But you can see down there I've got new gaskets with a little bit of sealant in it. Right here I got both rocker arm assemblies back on. The water pump is still off. Oops, dropped a bolt. So I have to clean up the surfaces and get it back on. And then obviously attach the little crossover tube there, what I call it. I don't know if that's what actually it is. Okay, and this is that was the head gasket I was showing you, not the head gasket, the intake gasket that sticks up a little bit. This is the valve cover gasket. Those little notches need to go in there, but it's a different style, so I have to shave off the little bumps on those quart gaskets because they don't fit in these little notches. Okay, I got the valve covers on. I got the water pump on. It has basically 4 bolts that bolt it up. So I got the 2 on this side and the 2 on that side. And then you got obviously the lower radiator hose and then the little upper radiator hose. It's all nice and tight. Make sure you check that kind of stuff. You'll find out real quick. Okay, power steering pump is going to be put back up, bolts onto there, and bolts onto there, and bolts on down there. Then you got the alternator has to swing back over, and so let's see if I can get this thing so you can see what's going on. I'm fighting it. Try it differently here. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Maybe not. Anyway, there's 2 bolt holes there. You can see that larger wide bracket is going to bolt to that upper hole, and then there's a lower hole that's on the water pump I'm not really showing. Then there's a cap and an engine compartment. Alright, so now I have to put in the distributor. The old distributor, I believe, I should have shown that the gear was all tore up. So it was like $20 more just to get a whole new distributor. So I'm just getting it lowered in here. The truck is at top dead center. I'm going to get that rotor pointed at the number 1 cylinder. I'm just using the distributor cap to kind of figure it out. Okay, got to drop down in there. And I think we are down in. Okay, so I'm not really sure what I'm babbling on. Sorry, this video has got a lot of... Okay, I got it all back together and she's running, and we're going to be picking up here where I'm giving her a bath. All right, now that I kind of got her running, I can't resist washing it. I have to get it clean. I've got some different wheels and tires for it that I just gotta get them on. It's driving me crazy. I know that's kind of jumping a little ahead. I still gotta work on the brakes. I mean, the brakes work, but the back brakes, I don't think are doing much. So I've already cleaned a little bit on the other side. So what I'm gonna do is I really need to cut this rust down so that it won't continue to rust further. And I plan on putting a seal coat on it, like probably just a wipe-on clear coat. I'm not worried about if it's a little streaky or whatever. And I'm gonna polish it out so the blue will come back quite a bit. I've discovered on the other side that I don't think this was the original bed, which is kind of weird because I mean they look the same. I mean the patina is the same, or the fade is the same, or what you want to call it is the same. At least it looks the same. But on the other side, you can see where there's chunks of this paint that's gone, and there's a metallic blue underneath. I thought the metallic blue was on top, but when I started cleaning over there, it's actually underneath it. So anyways, let me show you what I'm doing here. Let me grab some stuff. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. I've got some bartenders or barkeeper's friend. It's just like a cleaner, but it's got a little grit in it, and that would work. But I think this needs a little bit more than that. And I've got essentially, I've got these Brillo pads, and they're basically steel wool. Steel wool with some soap in them. And I'm gonna go over it once with the Scotch-Brite pad, which I can figure out where I put it. And then I go over it again with the Brillo pad. Scotch-Brite pads get the big stuff off, and then the Brillo pad isn't gonna kind of get the finer stuff off. Because it's almost like I'm wet sanding it, which you could actually do. You could actually wet sand it with like a 1500 or a 1200 or even 1000, and then go and polish it, and it'll come out really nice. Anyhow, well, relatively nice. All right, let me find that Brillo pad. Another thing you can do if I can speak here is you can add a little Comet to it, a little more abrasive, little Comet, they've got different kinds of. My dad, when he had a car lot, they called it the Bonami, which it was real similar to a Comet. But you can go the trim. I want to get all of this quick. This is more like budget builder guys and rods, your Corvettes, but this is no big deal for this old paint. I did a little bit on the other side, and it got a little bit. I'm still going to lower the back a little bit and try to lower the front a little bit, but you'll start to see I will be back when I am all done. All right, see you in a bit. All right, so we got it in the shop. I got my wool pad and my orbital buffer here. You can see there's a little bit of blue on it. I did a little spot earlier. So I'm gonna just try to hit this spot up in here and see how it looks. Two challenges I need to make sure I do is not hit the rubber and not hit the vinyl. I have another orbital style buffer, which would probably work pretty good, but the rotary is really gonna cut. Now, having said that, I'm not a professional by any stretch of the imagination. I've done this a bunch, but I'm not a professional. And this is just some old cheap turtle wax. I'm just rubbing compound. I've got some Meguiar's, and there's different brands. There's lots and lots of brands out there you can use. I grew up, my dad using turtle wax. So it's, I'm sure there's a lot of better brands out there, but this will get the job done. So you want to spread it around, try to minimize the fling. I get it everywhere, but anyhow, so let's see what it's going to look like. Okay, try not to hit the rubber there. Kind of go back and forth a few times. A little bit of pressure. I'm not pushing too hard. I'm letting the rotary do the bulk of the work. You can see that's shining up pretty dang good. I need a little more rubbing compound here. Let's see what I got the speed set at. Yeah, the speed was a little low. I had it on 1. Generally want to crank it up to 6. That's where I run it. But 1 is a little more controllable. You gotta be. Beauty of this is if you burn an edge a little bit, it's not that big a deal, right? So yeah, see, like I probably burned it right there a little bit, but that's also from sanding. Let me grab a rag and wipe it down a little bit. Oh, there we go. Just any old rag will do. Any old rag will do. Yeah, so look at, that's crazy. So that's just a first little hit. I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try to use the orbital for everything from the decal below and then use the rotary up just to protect that decal. The decal's old and it's all cracking, but that kind of adds the patina, right? So let's see here. And this is just a little inexpensive, online little orbital. I just bought it off the old internet. Put the same basic concept, little swirl on there. Smear it around. Well, you can see me down here. Yeah, you can see. Oh, yeah. The face of that, look at how blue that is. This is a gray pad, so it's taking some paint off, which we know it's going to, right? This is just, there's no clear coat on this. See, I don't know how well you guys can see that on the camera, but it's only an issue I'm having. It looks like I kind of might have sort of stained the decal, but I could probably get that off with the goof off or something. So anyhow, yeah, so I'm gonna keep at it. And like I said, I gotta work on the brakes too, but making it look good it's more fun. So anyhow, stopping is important. Stopping is important. So work on the body. We'll work on the brakes. I got to permanently install the ignition switch Gotta mess with the carburetor. I think the little factory screw-in filter might be plugged up. If it sits in idles and you rev it up, it does okay. But then you try to like go, it doesn't. It's like it just doesn't have enough fuel. It kind of bogs and you kind of and doesn't rev. So, alrighty. Yeah, we'll be back. I'll pull one of these wheels off, and then we'll see what these brakes look like. All right.